When a student asks you the question, where does everything come from, there are several answers you can educate them with. There are two theories about how the universe came about: the Big Bang Theory and the 6 days of creation, which can also be known as the 7 days of creation, depending on which story you hear from. The Big Bang Theory is an attempt to explain how the universe developed from a tiny state. This video will explain the science behind the Big Bang.
Less than a billionth of a second after the Big Bang, a bubble much smaller than a fraction of an atom forms. This is the universe. It is unimaginably small and unimaginably hot. Within this bubble, the four known forces of nature: gravity, electromagnetism, plus the strong and the weak nuclear forces, are a combined superforce. Gravity suddenly splits off from the superforce as the universe expands. As the universe expands, it cools, which somehow sets off a burst of energy, fueling the hyperinflation of the universe, suggested by Alan Guth. This inflation locks in the uniformity of the universe pictured by the WMAP satellite. The universe is still less than a second old when the superforce decays into the separate forces of nature. Roughly 3 minutes after the Big Bang, the temperature of the universe has dropped to a mere 1 billion degrees Fahrenheit, cool enough for atomic nuclei to form. The element hydrogen forms. Some hydrogen atoms fuse to create helium, as proposed by Gamow and Alpher. 380,000 years later, and light travels through the darkness. The burst of radiation that Penzias and Wilson found happens now. A billion years after the Big Bang, stars take shape, producing the heavier elements like nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon, as Hoyle predicted.
So that was the scientific theory behind the Big Bang. The next theory of how the world became about is the 7 days of creation. The 7 days of creation is the religious view that God created the universe in 7 days. Day 1, he says, "Let there be light," and "Let there be night." Day 2, he says, "Let there be sky," and water underneath it. Day 3, God says, "Let dry land appear with grass and with trees." Day 4, God says, "Let the sun rise with the moon and the skies." Day 5, he says, "Let there be fish and birds." Day 6, he says, "Let animals roam and with man, and let the Eden garden form with Adam and Eve." And day 7, he says, "Let all things be blessed, and the Sabbath be the day for rest." This final day, day 7, there's the reason why some people don't really say day 7 is because some people assume that everything is blessed and that the Sabbath day is rest on day 6. So some people lump day 6 and day 7 together. So those are the two theories behind how the earth came about and where everything has come from. So if your student asks you this question, you are now educated on how to answer it without giving a biased opinion. Now to review, let's ask ourselves the question, what are the two theories behind how the universe was created? Think about what your two answers are, which is what we talked about. It is the Big Bang Theory and the 7 days of creation, which is the theory of the view of religious people. Now ask yourself the question, what theory do you believe? Do you know your answer? Good. Now you know how you feel about this theory. The hard part about this subject is that you cannot tell your students what you believe. You have to keep your biased opinion to yourself.